Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I want to probably just use my time to throw this question out for the three of you, which is, do each one of you, and we can just start down the row, believe that the reforms that the chairman has offered, do they adequately address the abuses that we saw, say, with the Carter Page or Michael Flynn incident? Because I do think that there's a broad concern that this abuse, it happened and it could happen again. And I think at least somebody who wants to be reform-minded, how do you view that? And if you think it's inadequate, what else would you propose that we do?
So I do believe that more oversight of the FISA court is appropriate. They haven't gotten their share, and they have been responsive to the people who they think are watching them most closely, which tends to be civil liberties advocates. Instead, having the Congress present, and certainly having Congress oversee the list of amici makes a lot of sense as a way of demonstrating that the FISA court needs to take account of the people who wrote the laws as well as the people who are lobbying on them.
Is there anything else that you would do to deal with the abuse that you would propose?
I think we've run to the end of legislative reforms in this area. That certainly it would make sense to ask the intelligence community to create a mechanism by which you could determine whether you could do a search to determine whether somebody's in the database and for what investigation, without having to this query concern arise. If we could get to the point where only 2% of the people who have been looked at have to be the subject of a warrant, it would be much better. But I don't think at this point that the IT systems will support that kind of a search.
Ms. Goetting.
If we're talking just about improving the functioning of the FISA court for the moment, then I would say that that RISA combined with a couple of the chairman's proposals take some steps in a good direction. They fall short of the full set of reforms to the FISA court that were proposed in the Lee-Leahy amendment in 2020, which became the Lee-Welch amendment in 2024. That passed in 2020 in the Senate by a vote of 77-19. There's no reason not to embrace that full suite of reforms. In addition, RISA took two major steps backward when it came to the role of amici in the FISA court and weakened the role of amici. First, it limited amici to only addressing issues identified by the FISA court. The primary value of amici really is to identify issues that the FISA court hasn't thought of. So this would have crippled amici, for example, in the Carter Page scenario, where the court hadn't identified any issues with the materials. RISA also required amici to have experience in intelligence collection. That's going to weight the selection of amici heavily towards former government officials who may come in with institutional bias. That government perspective is already represented before the FISA court. So those changes should be repealed.
Okay. So these reforms plus the reforms that the Lee.
A couple of those reforms. I wouldn't support having Congress, having the amici chosen by Congress. I don't think that will make things less political. I think what will make things more political, unfortunately.
Mr. Klein.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you for also mentioning the Flynn leaks, which is something I wrote about almost 10 years ago when it happened, and which was a very disturbing example of signals intelligence being leaked to politically target an American citizen, something that's completely unacceptable. RISA made many changes, which I think will help get potential political influences out of the FISA process. No more political opposition research, no more unsourced press reports, having lawyers review U.S. person applications with closer scrutiny, and many other things that are listed in my written testimony. Those need time to run, but I think they will run more effectively if Congress is able to get in there and see how the process is working and provide that additional congressional oversight and scrutiny. So that's why I support the additional reforms in this committee's bill.
What do you do? I mean, because I think in the Steele dossier was omitted from, so the idea that you would sort of take the political opposition research out of it. The problem is that was hidden. In my recollection, was hidden from the court in an effort to pursue this, right?
That's right, and the bill from 2 years ago requires the government to explicitly call out if it's using that kind of information and not try to bury it or hide it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, Senator Hawley.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thanks to the witnesses for being here. Mr. Klein, if I could just start with you.